Welcome back to another Spread Pick'em show with Mike and Andrew. We're in week number 15. Andrew, how you doing today?
Doing pretty well considering with all my fantasy football things going right. Still losing to you in this, but that's okay for now.
And you got Jalen Hurts, who might be the answer
Yep,
for the Eagles.
yep,
So you got
yep.
that going. Nice win for them. All right, so we'll jump into the week number 14 recap. I took the Patriots last Thursday. They stunk. You won, so you got the win there. I got the loss. I took the Chicago Bears, who just killed Houston. You took Houston, so that's a win for me. Tennessee at Jacksonville, both took Tennessee, got the win there. Denver at Carolina. We did not expect Drew Lock to have a 4-touchdown flawless performance. We got the loss there with the Panthers. Dallas at Cincinnati. We both got the win there with Dallas. KC at Miami. I got a lucky cover here with the Dolphins. You took KC. That's an unfortunate one. Arizona at the Giants. I called you a Giant hater. You called me out for it on Twitter. I'm sorry. The Giants crapped the bet on Sunday, so I got the loss. You got the win. Minnesota at Tampa Bay. Both took Tampa. Thank you, Dan Bailey, for missing like 4 field goals or, 4 kicks, I should say. That was pretty ugly. I saw they're working out the former Giants kicker, Chandler Catanzaro, I think it is maybe, or he was a Giants kicker
Oh,
for
there
like
you
2
go.
weeks. So they got that maybe. Indy at Las Vegas. It was pretty close for a little bit, but then, Indy pulled away. We both took the L there. Should have taken your Colts. Next, the Jets at Seattle. Someone on this channel continues to take the Jets, and it ain't me. And took the loss there. I think, what was the
I let
final score of
everybody
that
down.
game? What was the score of that game? Like 45-6? I
Too
mean, it
much to
was
too little.
it was really bad. Yes. So I got the win there with the Seahawks. Green Bay at Detroit. I got a lucky cover here. I forget what happened exactly to transpire that, but I know that the Lions covered. You took the loss there with the Packers. Atlanta
hmm
at the Los Angeles Chargers. The Falcons are one of my favorite bets this week or last week. And Matt Ryan, 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter. We should have got that one. Younghoe Koo could have got his revenge game against the Chargers, who cut him like 3 years ago. Game-winning field goal. But nope, Matt Ryan, stinky, stinky. So I got the loss there. You got the win with the Chargers. New Orleans Saints, they were at the Philadelphia Eagles. We both took the Saints. And we're stupid. Miles Sanders, big game. Jalen
Yeah.
Hurts, nice game for him. So, you guys got the win there. We both took the loss. Washington at San Francisco. I took the Washington football team. You took the Niners. I got the win. You got the loss. Pittsburgh at Buffalo. I was confident in Pittsburgh, but, some bad stuff happened. Deontay Johnson got benched. Not good for fantasy. You took the Bills. Got the win there. Then I don't know if it was two nights ago. I think it was now. Baltimore at Cleveland. It was a pick 'em at the time. We both took Cleveland. If the spread was +3 for this, I would have been even more heated. I put $20 for those. Andrew knows this, but I put $20 on the Browns +3, and I would have got the push. Would have got my $20 back, but that stupid safety at the end, as I'm sure it screwed a lot of people, got me that loss. So very unfortunate loss for me. But we
Very
both took
funny
the
live
L.
reaction.
Yeah, you saw that one live. And my night sucked because on that final Ravens drive, the one league that I was last alive in, which is with my friends from middle school for fantasy, I was against Mark Andrews up by like 2.5 points. He got one catch, and I was up by
Yeah.
0.02 after that first catch. Then Mark Andrews gets a catch on the next play. And I'm like, oh shit, like I lost. And then of course that terrible bad beat happens so it was just like a terrible 10 minutes for me, and life sucks. But yeah, anyway. So now on to week number 15. So you
Yep.
are 102, 101, and 5, hanging on to that above 500 record. I'm 107, 96, and 5. So I gained the game on you. I think I got 8 wins last week, and you got 7, or maybe I got 9, you got 8, something like that. But I had one more game on you. But first game, Thursday night matchup here. Los Angeles Chargers. They are at the Las Vegas Raiders. Las Vegas is a -3, and we're both going to go with the Raiders here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Raiders because I just think that the Raiders are a really good bounce back team, especially with their coach, John Gruden, who obviously does not like to lose. If you know anything about the guy, losing's probably his least favorite thing and will ruin the rest of the week for him. So he wants to make sure that he does that as little as possible. And the Raiders are still fighting for a potential chance at the playoffs at this point. I mean, they've been pretty competitive, more competitive than some people might have thought. So with the struggling LA Chargers team, with their head coach not really being the fit there, people questioning that, Justin Herbert not really playing the way he used to play before, obviously, he cut his hair. So, you know, it's weird to pick the Chargers at this time with any confidence, and I think picking the Raiders coming off a loss is a really good decision to make, especially with a line this low at -3. So I feel pretty confident in the Raiders, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers just come out of nowhere. I mean, that's usually been happening for them this year, but I think the Raiders will pull out on top.
Yeah, I have no confidence whatsoever. I would not bet this game, actually, but for the sake of the show, I will take the Raiders as well. I just want to agree with you so I don't get another Thursday game wrong. It sucks to get wrong on Thursday because that just, ruins your whole vibe for the rest of the week. But I'm going to take the Raiders. They do have injuries. They have, 4 starting defenders injured. Henry Ruggs is on the COVID list, so he's out. They got a new defensive coordinator, Rob Marinelli. So, I don't know if that's going to help them or not, but sometimes when you fire a bad defensive coordinator, or sometimes just helps your defense play better. We see that happen time and time again, usually with head coaches, but something like this could play in their favor as well. The Chargers are coming off their first win of the year, so I'm sure they're hyped about that. But even some of the skill position players for the Chargers, like Eckler's kind of banged up. He'll play. Don't worry, Andrew. He'll play. Mike Williams is banged up. Keenan Allen's banged up. So, you got a lot of guys that are hurt right now. But same thing goes for the Raiders, and it's on their defensive side of the ball. But I do trust Derek Carr. I'll hate myself for saying that, but I trust him against a Chargers defense that's not too great. So I will say that they probably put up a good number here. You can run on them as well. So Josh Jacobs, whoever's running the ball for them, should be fine. Devontae Booker's the other one they have. Jalen Richard. They should be fine. And, Darren Waller's very tough to cover as well. So I think the Raiders should put up enough points here. Going up against Herbert, who can put up a lot of points quickly, it definitely scares me. So that's why I don't want to bet this game, actually. But I will take the Raiders as well. So hopefully we're both right about that one. On to Saturday night's games, because, of course, we're at the time of the year where Saturday night games are a thing. First, we have the Buffalo Bills at the Denver Broncos. Buffalo's a -6. I like Denver here. You're going to go with Buffalo.
Yeah, you made the point before we hopped on here real quick when we have our little 10-minute chat while you're finishing up what you're doing. You're right. This is kind of a got you game in a way. And I haven't been so good with those so far this year where I look at the line and I say, what is going on here? And you're right. Buffalo, they've been really, really good lately. And it could, catch you as a surprise when Denver somehow covers this spread. However, Buffalo's not the type of team to get overconfident. I don't see that a lot. What I can see is them maybe playing down to their opponent a little bit to, give themselves a rest in a way because they've been playing fantastic lately and maybe they don't need to go all out, for this game and try and beat the crap out of the Denver Broncos. I don't think that will happen, though, because I think Josh Allen needs to just continue to keep clicking more and more every single week with his offense, build relationships. And I know it's week 15 now we're up to. He's had a whole season with these guys, but it's never too late to keep that chemistry going, especially with the playoffs coming around. So I don't think they're going to try and almost play down to their opponent in this game. Buffalo's been playing very well. They're obviously one of the better teams in the AFC. I have my list of teams that I think could take down the Buffalo Bills, but that's another story for another day. A lot of people disagree with me on that front. But I have my teams, and the Denver Broncos are certainly not one of them, especially covering a 6.5-point spread like this.
Yeah, you told me that before. We should go over that at the end because I did disagree on one of them. So I guess we'll try to get to that later. But yeah, for this game, I know Buffalo's been a lot better on defense lately, and I know that their secondary has been causing a lot of turnovers and stuff. But at the same time, Drew Lock's coming off his best game in a long time, honestly. So that's something to look forward to. And I don't know. I mean, every time a team goes to Denver, it's just tougher for them with the altitude, of course. And the Bills, I just have this theory that, they've been on national TV a lot lately. They've looked really good lately. It might inflate the line a bit, and people probably didn't pay attention to the Broncos and Panthers last week. So you might get, a couple extra points in there in favor of the Broncos. And, mainly it's because the Broncos are home. If the Bills were home, I'd most likely take the Bills here. But it seems like for some reason when teams go to Denver, who they don't have a great defense, but sometimes they just play well out of nowhere. And I feel like this could be one of those spots, and Josh Allen could have a couple bad turnovers, maybe just one bad turnover, and it could definitely help. So, look, I don't know. I'm not too confident about it because Buffalo's defense is playing great lately, but it's just one of those spot games where it could be a bad spot for the Bills, who have been playing very well lately. It's a week-by-week type league, so I'll go with Denver. Hopefully get it right, but we'll see. Next, for the later Saturday night game, I think this is Carolina. Your Carolina Panthers. They're at the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay is a -8.5. You're taking Carolina, no surprise, but I want to take Green Bay here.
Yeah, I'm going to take Carolina because, again, you look at the record of this team, the Carolina Panthers, and you might say to yourself, Andrew, you're kind of crazy for picking Carolina. They're not really in the running for anything anymore. They're probably not going to try and do too much. But when you have a new quarterback in the system like Teddy Bridgewater, you almost have to treat him like a rookie quarterback. And when you have a rookie quarterback in the system, teams don't tend to give up in games and tank on purpose. They're trying to develop that quarterback in their system better. On top of that, you also have a new coach in Matt Rule, who's, again, trying to establish all his players with the new system, whether that be previous players, new players, whatever the case may be. So I don't see these Carolina Panthers team as a team that's going to, flatten out as time goes on. I know that Broncos loss was pretty surprising to both of us that they even lost that game in general. I would have accepted a spread cover by the Broncos, but definitely not a loss. Did not expect that. So it is a little tough picking this game, especially because Green Bay can just come out and absolutely dominate teams at some point in the season. But I've always made this point on here that Teddy Bridgewater keeps you in games. Last week, honestly, was not the case. He had some weird turnover. He just looked discombobulated on that throw. So I don't know what's going on there. But for the most part, he does keep you in games, doesn't have that turnover. And I think right here is where you can see a Green Bay team, unlike the Carolina Panthers or the Buffalo Bills, as I mentioned before, kind of play down to their opponent a little bit. Don't really need to get too juiced up for this game, although I do think the Panthers could surprise many people in this game. 8.5, it's a lot of points for a Carolina Panthers team that usually plays up and down to their opponents. So I feel pretty comfortable going with Carolina.
I will say this to favor your bet here. He gets DJ Moore back, most likely. Arguably his top
Yeah.
receiver, whether it's him or Robbie Anderson, but that definitely could help you for sure. The thing that really swayed my opinion is that Carolina is giving up 278 passing yards on 69% completion percentage allowed in road games this year. And Aaron Rodgers, as we know, is just incredible. So the Packers are a type of team that can pass all over you. If they don't want to run at certain games, they don't have to because Aaron Rodgers is crazy and Devontae Adams is unguardable. Robert Tonyan and Alan Lazard can get involved as well. So I just trust them to put out an offensive clinic here. And while I do like Teddy Bridgewater to keep you in games, and I do like that they get DJ Moore back most likely, I just feel like this is a game where Green Bay is going to go crazy. So I'm going to go with them to probably, win this game by a lot. And they are home. So it's definitely tough for a team, that plays in Carolina where it is warmer to go all the way up to Green Bay. We've had some pretty bad weather here lately. I don't know what it's like in Green Bay, but I can't imagine it's too nice over there. So I'm going to just hope that Green Bay comes out and just beats the crap out of them. I mean, that's pretty much all I got to say. And Christian McCaffrey's not back either. Another game of Mike Davis, which I don't care about anymore because my season's over. But sucks for you. But, for the point of this bet, they can't run their offense through Mike Davis. They could do it through Christian McCaffrey. Not going to be the case here. So I trust Green Bay's defense. I guess they're playing all right. They didn't look that great against the Lions, but they're all right. Sometimes they play well. Sometimes they don't. But I expect them to do well in this spot. So I will take Green Bay to win by a lot. I expect like a 10-point victory, maybe more. So I'll go with them. On the Sunday's games, we first start with the Houston Texans at the Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis is a -7.5. I'm taking the Colts, which is surprising because you always do, but you're going to go with Houston here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Houston because when you watch the Colts, you see their defense kind of struggle when the quarterback gets the ball out of his hands quickly. And in a way, Deshaun Watson doesn't do that, but Deshaun Watson's very mobile, obviously, and can buy himself some time, get outside the pocket, and throw the ball. That's where I think the Indianapolis Colts defense is a little weak. You see them beat a team like the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers not really be able to escape the pocket in that game, kind of left inside the pocket the whole game. But with, obviously Deshaun Watson, that's a little different. What you do have going for you here, and I like, is that it's a divisional matchup. So a good team like the Colts will probably be prepared for a Houston Texans team that they've already seen, I'm pretty sure, so far this year. I didn't really like what I saw from the Houston Texans that game, but I think they're a different team from where they were at when they played the Colts the first time around. I think, honestly, their identity is just different. Ever since the firing of Bill O'Brien, they've really looked kind of more complete in a way. Their defense still stinks. Yeah, that's clear. But Deshaun Watson's really shown what he's made of. He hasn't had Will Fuller, obviously, because of the PED situation. DeAndre Hopkins got traded before the season. He didn't even have Brandon Cooks last week. And honestly, the offense struggled, but he's still out there making plays with no matter who is on the field. So I think in a divisional game, Houston, they've played the Colts before. They've seen what they have. I know that works for the other side as well. But usually these games tend to be close, especially when when a team like Houston can really push the ball downfield offensively. So I feel pretty comfortable going with the Texans in this one. But usually when I go against the Colts, that's when they usually bite me in the you-know-what.
Right. And these guys played 2 weeks ago, I think. And I think Houston had a chance to come back and tie, but Watson fumbled, I'm pretty sure. So, like, it was a lot closer than the score probably said it was. I think Indy covered it, but it was close. So, yeah, I mean, you brought up a lot of good points. And this is, the matchup where T.Y. Hilton always goes off. And I think last year these guys played – like games where Indy had a lot of control. The last time they played this year, it was close. It is divisional. I get that. But I don't know. Without Roby, without Fuller, you just see a Texans offense that is just not good whatsoever. Their defense can't stop the run. We see how great Jonathan Taylor's looked lately. Even Nyheim Hines gets involved, of course, mostly through passing. But, yeah, I know you like that. But it's true. I mean, he's looked a lot better lately. And Phillip Rivers, here it is. So he has had – basically the third highest completion percentage, and he's thrown multiple touchdown passes in 4 straight games. So Phillip Rivers is now getting more comfortable, looking better. I think he's got a toe injury or something, but when you're him and you stand in the pocket, who really cares? He's doing fine. So he'll throw his drag routes to T.Y. Hilton. He'll score a touchdown, maybe 2. I think Indy has a nice game offensively. It's hard to bet against Deshaun Watson when he's like, more than a touchdown underdog, but at the same time, Indy's just a lot better. I think Indy's defense has its flaws, and it's a bit overrated based on what we saw the first couple months of the year. But the Texans are so beat up, like offensive line-wise, weapons-wise. It's like, how much can they do? They probably get Cooks back. They probably get David Johnson back, which helps, but still, to me, it's not enough. So if there's no Will Fuller, I don't see it happening. So I will take the Colts in this one. Next, we have the Detroit Lions at the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee's on minus 10.5. I will say Matt Stafford is not expected to practice this week. He might play. He's like a veteran. He doesn't need to actually practice to play. So we'll see about that. But if he's out, it's Chase Daniel at quarterback, the former Bears backup from last year, a couple other spots from the Saints, I think, a long time ago. But so right now it is Tennessee minus 10.5. We're both going to go with Tennessee with that crazy number.
Yeah, I am going to go with Tennessee because, believe it or not, Tennessee, even at their 9-4 record, I believe, they're still in a conference race here with the Indianapolis Colts, and they need to show dominance in a way. So even with a high spread like this where you might think they could roll over and potentially play down to their opponent, I don't think that's the case because Tennessee, when they dominate, and they score a lot of points, and their defense – doesn't really have to play that well, and especially if Chase Daniel's on the field. I mean, this is almost a gimme in a way. If Chase Daniel is playing, that might mix some things up for the Titans defense. They might get different looks, but he's just not as talented. And if there's one thing that the Tennessee Titans can do on defense, it's probably that they can get in your face sometimes. And with a quarterback like Matthew Stafford throwing sidearm, making accurate throws, underrated throws, because if that was Patrick Mahomes, we would see it all over our Instagram feeds. But it's Matthew Stafford, so who really cares? It's harder to get a guy like that flustered because he can make so many of these acrobatic throws. Chase Daniel's not that guy. Chase Daniel is the definition of an NFL backup. That's why he's been with so many different teams. So if Chase Daniel plays, I think this is a gimme. But if he's even not playing, Tennessee is a great team offensively. They can run the ball, and if the run's not working, which it works usually every single game when you have Derrick Henry, the pass works as well. So when you just have that offense that's balanced like that, it really flows well. And Detroit's been struggling all year. They need a new head coach. They're on the decline. They're waiting for their draft picks. It just does not look good. And I actually saw a tweet before this that said, running backs don't matter on any single team except for the Tennessee Titans, and that's 100% correct.
Yeah, I've always said Dalvin Cook maybe too. That's like maybe the other one I could put out there for you. But even though Derrick Henry's a monster, but even his backups have good numbers. I feel like McNichols and Deonta Foreman, but they're not Derrick Henry. We get it. But all right, so the Lions, they rank in the bottom 10 in passing and rushing yards allowed this year. You mentioned that if it is Chase Daniel, it's a gimme. I do have my concerns, though, because the Titans' pass defense is so freaking bad that even a guy like Chase Daniel can probably put up some numbers against them. And a lot of it, I checked before that says, about Kenny Galladay's status. Nothing's really, been out there yet. He still hasn't practiced yet. He hasn't played in a long time. So if he's back this game, which I don't really see happening based on what we've seen recently, I'd feel better about the Lions. But, based on the stat I just mentioned about, the Lions defense being in the bottom 10 in both passing and rushing defense, I think they can do both very well. You could run the ball with Derrick Henry in specific games where he goes off, and this could be a spot for it. And then, of course, Tannehill working with Corey Davis and A.J. Brown, even Jonnu Smith sometimes is also a good option. So I feel like if they stop one, part of their offense, the other will get the job done. I know 10.5 is a lot, and it definitely concerns me if Matt Stafford plays. But as you said, the Titans, when they put up a lot of points, they put up a lot of points. It could be like a 38 to 45 type point game for them. So I'm hoping that's what the outcome is. If it's not, the Lions probably cover, but I'll hope for that big outburst from their offense. Next, we're on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're at the Atlanta Falcons. Tampa Bay is a -5.5. Not sure about Julio Jones' status, which is a pretty big thing, of course, but I'm going to take Atlanta anyway, which is probably dumb, and you're going to go with Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tampa Bay with honestly not that much to say, even though they have a great offensive team on paper. They need to start doing some stuff, Mike, because honestly, these last few weeks, they haven't really impressed me. Coming off the bye, I kind of expected a lot from them, and I know they got the win, and I know they covered the spread, but they didn't look that great. When you have people like Tom Brady, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Rob Gronkowski, the best team in the nation in 2018 probably, I expect more from you, and I haven't really seen it, and I think this is the team, the Atlanta Falcons, that you do that up against, right? They have a terrible defense. They've struggled all year. They have gotten better over time, but not to the point where they should be able to stop the Tom Brady ran offense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers defense, they're pretty good. And I think they can hold an Atlanta Falcons team without possibly Julio Jones to a small amount of points. And this isn't a big spread. This is 5.5. So when you compare these two teams, they just really don't match up at all. One has a really good offense. One has a decent offense. One has a really good defense. One has an awful defense. So you make your pick. I know you're going with the Falcons here. You keep going back to them. But I'm going to stick with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, the Falcons are just a pain to get a gauge on every year. But the thing about the Bucs defense is that they're like one of the best, maybe the best rush defense in football. But the Falcons don't run the ball that much. So I'm like, maybe we can cancel out what they do really well. And their secondary is somewhat beatable. I know that they have good young players out there. But my concern is Atlanta's offensive line. Can they protect enough to take care of Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul for enough time and give Matt Ryan enough time? I'm probably a fool for taking Atlanta twice in a row. But if Julio Jones played this game and it was still 5.5, I'd feel very good about Atlanta. But I don't know if I trust guys like Russell Gage to step up once again. He's pretty good. Calvin Ridley's good, of course. I don't even know who else Atlanta has. That's Zacchaeus guy's out. I know that, but I don't know who else they have, honestly. Who was it? Was it Laquan Treadwell? Is he still out there for the Falcons or no? Did they cut him?
I'm not sure.
He scored last week for somebody. I can't remember if it's the Falcons or not, but it might have been Laquan Treadwell, former first-round pick. But, yeah, I mean, you're going to force – Atlanta's run defense, I feel like, is pretty good. So you're going to force – and I think Ronald Jones is out this game as well, so you're asking Leonard Fournette and LaShawn McCoy to carry your rushing game. This might be a game where Tom Brady airs it out 45, 50 times. He can do well, and Tom Brady definitely had a nice throw on Sunday to, I think it was Scotty Miller for a touchdown, long touchdown. So he has shown he can do it, and Atlanta's secondary is nothing great, so that does concern me. But I don't know. I think Atlanta, passing-wise, can do enough with Russell Gage and Calvin Ridley and Hayden Hurst and those guys. So I don't expect them to run the ball well. It is 5.5 points, divisional game, their first matchup this year. I was thinking, I wonder if Matt Ryan looks at Tom Brady and just thinks like, you mother effer, because of course that Super Bowl game, I go back to that, So I wonder if that has any bad blood between those guys. Probably not. It's not Brady's fault specifically, but at the same time, it's probably something that pops into Matt Ryan's mind for sure. All right, so I'll go with Atlanta. You go with Tampa Bay there. Next is the Jacksonville Jaguars, led by Gardner Minshew once again, who's now named the starter. They are at the Baltimore Ravens, who looked really good. I mean, not their defense, but they looked really good on Monday Night Football against the Browns. Baltimore's on -13. I'm taking Baltimore. You're going with Jacksonville here.
Yeah, you kind of just introduced what my main point was going to be about. Yeah, the Baltimore Ravens offense looked like really, really good against the Browns, but their defense did not. And we've seen time and time again the Jacksonville Jaguars take advantage of bad defenses and literally come out of nowhere, in a sense, and be competitive in a game. Now, you don't need to be competitive in this game to cover this spread. It's a big enough spread in which you can literally get dominated and still cover it. I think it's at 13 right now, so it's probably going to shift, I would think, more in the Ravens' favor because, honestly, I see a lot of people coming off that big win against the Browns and thinking the Ravens are that team again. And I'm sure you're thinking along those lines, too. You want to believe it. But I don't think it's true. And I think Gardner Minshew, I think he is heated. And he's got that chip on his shoulder. Mike, you know I love that guy that's got the chip on his shoulder. He's mean. He seems like a guy that would just come out there and ball out for absolutely no reason for the Jacksonville Jaguars, ruin any future whatsoever for them with draft picks, but prove a point. Like, that is Gardner Minshew to me. He's a guy that just goes out there and does whatever he wants, whenever he wants, and he can do it. He can win games. He can keep you in games. We've seen it. I understand the Baltimore Ravens are a little more complex team. Their defense is getting better. Their offense is getting better, obviously. But I just think that the Jacksonville Jaguars will be able to cover this 13-point spread. I don't think it's time to hop on the Lamar Jackson Baltimore Raven train just yet, in the sense. I think they'll win this game. Obviously, I don't think Jacksonville will win this game, but I think it'll be more competitive than people think.
Yeah, it definitely. I wish it was Mike Glennon. I don't really feel great about the heated Gardner Minshew coming back, who I think is a talented quarterback, so that definitely is not a good thing. But what I look at is how much Jacksonville struggles against the run. They allowed like 200-something yards to Derrick Henry last week. But Jacksonville gives up the third most rushing yards in football. And as we know, the Ravens are one of the most run-happy teams offensively in football, whether it's Lamar Jackson or Dobbins, who's looked really good lately, Gus Edwards, maybe Mark Ingram, probably not. So, they're also not good in their pass defense as well. But even a guy like Lamar Jackson, who hasn't been great at passing the ball this year, he had a couple big plays, honestly. There was one play towards the end of the half where, they left guys open. Mark Andrews was left open for like a 40-yard catch. The Marquise Hollywood Brown big touchdown. I think Brown is on the COVID list and a couple other Ravens receivers, but they probably have time to clear that by Sunday. So we'll see. That definitely going to hurt my pick here if they're all out. But at the same time, I trust the Ravens to run the ball well. They looked really good on Monday. The Browns offense is, they're well-oiled. They definitely know what they're doing. A lot of good play action and stuff. And, Baker Mayfield's look good, Nick Chubb. I don't trust Jacksonville to have that same type of offense. Maybe they do, but I don't really think they're all that good. So with that being said, I'm going to go with Baltimore here. I know it's a lot, but I think they can win this game by 2 touchdowns or more. And it's a lot to ask for, but I think they're rolling right now, so I'll go with them. Next, we're on to the New England Patriots. They're at the Miami Dolphins. Miami's a -2, and that definitely surprised us. And I have not much to say about this game, and I'm going to give you the stupid reason why. I told you this before when we recorded. People are going to look at that spread and say, oh, Miami. I don't know. Every time that happens, it's usually the other team that covers. So with that thinking, I'm going to go with New England. I'll say stuff, some more stuff after, but I'm going New England. You'll go Miami here.
Yeah, I'm going to fall into the pit once again where I say, oh, yeah, Miami, and then I probably get beat. And it's happened before. It's probably going to happen again, but I just like this Miami team way too much to go against them at this point. I think Tua has shown that he fits the offense well. You have guys like Mike Gesicki and Devontae Parker who actually might not play in this game, so maybe I'm talking myself out of it, but they fit the play style. Tua likes to throw it up a lot. He likes to throw it deep, and those two players can go up and get the ball. You saw it last week, and I just think Miami is just one of those teams that is really built all around. Their defense has been playing fantastic. They have some 2 lockdown corners that I think everybody is sleeping on. I think Xavier Howard is finally waking up a little bit, or waking people up, I should say, because he's been phenomenal for years now, and now that he's leading the league in interceptions, he's finally getting the recognition he deserves. That secondary is scary, and their pass rush isn't that bad either. Their linebackers are underrated. I like their defense. I think New England is going to struggle. However, Bill Belichick is good against teams that he sees pretty often, and he's already seen this Miami team once already, I'm pretty sure, this year. So that is obviously not going for them. But I do think that Miami is a different team than they were when they played them the first time. I'm pretty sure Ryan Fitzpatrick might have been in at that point. I'm not
I think it was
sure.
week 1. Like, we're going way back.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. They're a totally different team. So I don't really know how you can game plan around them. This is, again, like Mike said, a game where I will probably lose because Vegas likes to trick me into picking Miami, but I'm going to stick with Tua and the Miami Dolphins.
It's not just you. They try to trick everyone. I mean, I've been tricked
Yeah.
before as well, so that's probably why they make a lot of money. So yeah, I mean, look, I'm kind of thinking back to that Week 1 game, and I think Cam Newton had a lot of success with running the ball in and just running the ball in general. He was probably a lot more healthy back then, which definitely benefits the Dolphins. But if Gesicki's out, I forgot about that. That would be nice, honestly. So that'd be definitely a big loss for their offense. And Tua has looked good lately, especially last week. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I think that the Patriots secondary is good enough. That's like one of the only good parts about the Patriots nowadays is their secondary. So that's one good thing about them. I don't know if Devontae Parker is fully healthy. I think he was battling an injury last week, so we'll see if he plays or not. Their running backs, Gaskin, Ahmed, those guys are questionable for this game as well. So with that being said, and the Patriots having the extended rest, haven't played since last Thursday now, I give them the benefit of the doubt here and say they can probably win this game. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not confident, of course, but I could just hope that maybe New England takes up a lot of the clock here and just runs the ball with Damian Harris, who is also injured, but I think he'll play. A guy like maybe Sony Michel, Burkhead's out, James White as well. So maybe they can do that. Not really sure what to expect. And I mean, the strength of the secondary with the Dolphins is, their secondary, of course. So Cam Newton doesn't pass the ball a lot. I think they're going to run the ball a ton, and hopefully their run defense is bad enough that New England can get like consistent, 5, 6, 7 yards per carry against them, and we'll see if that's enough to take them over the top offensively. It's a lot to ask for, but it's a small spread, and I think that with Miami being favored, I'll just go with New England and take the points. I mean, it's probably a dumb way to look at it, but I have my reasons, so I'll just take them. Next, we're on to the Chicago Bears on the road at Minnesota. Minnesota's a -3. I'm taking Chicago, and you're going to go with Minnesota here.
Yeah, I think you're falling down the trap a little bit, Mike, with the Chicago Bears thing. You picked them a lot. And look, you've had some success, and honestly, maybe a little more negative than positive overall. But I think this is the bounce-back week for Minnesota, in which they go out and they just show how dominant they can be on offense. Now, I get it. When you stop Dalvin Cook, this offense gets slow. And obviously, the Chicago Bears are very capable of stopping Dalvin Cook, considering what they have in their front seven or what they have up front. But I think this is the game where Kirk Cousins just uses everybody on the field. You see him go around to everybody, Irv Smith, Kyle Rudolph, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. I think the loss of Stephon Diggs did hurt them in the beginning, but now is the time where Justin Jefferson has obviously become a pretty reliable target, and it didn't take that long for the two of them to get comfortable with each other. I think this offense is in a way a lesser version than the Tennessee Titans. They can run the ball, and if they can't run the ball, they can usually pass the ball very well. Obviously, they're not as good as the Titans because I don't think Dalvin Cook is as good as a pure running back as Derrick Henry, and I don't think their pass offense is as good as the Tennessee Titans. But they kind of remind me of them in a sense, and I think this spread is kind of low. I think it helps you certainly that the Chicago Bears won last week, which is probably why this is low, a field goal that is. But this team, this Minnesota Vikings team, is just too good to almost be this competitive with the Chicago Bears in a way. I do think it's going to be competitive, but I think Minnesota, you'll see them probably end up 5 or 6 points on top when it's all said and done.
So part of my reason last week for picking the Tampa Bay Bucks against the Vikings was because of their run defense being really good. And they held, I think, Cook to not so good of a game. He had like 30 carries, but didn't really do anything the whole game. So once again, the Bears' run defense is not as good, but they're still top 10 in football. So I feel like they can limit him enough to once again try and make Kirk Cousins beat you. And I agree, they'll probably try and spread the ball around a lot here. There's not really a specific guy on the Bears you should probably pick on. I don't know how Buster Screen is in the slot. I don't even know if Buster Screen's still on the Bears. It might have been last year, but I could be wrong. But they don't really have much weaknesses on their defense, so, I mean, that's something to watch out for. But I don't know. Their defense is good to me. The Vikings' offense is pretty predictable, honestly. And Mitch Trubisky lately has been pretty good. I think in his few starts, it says here 7-2 touchdown to interception ratio. He looked good last week. I'm not saying Trubisky's the answer and he's great, but at least the past few games he's played, he's been competent and actually pretty good. So I think the Vikings' defense is not what it used to be. I think they can pass on them. I think Montgomery, the running back, has been awesome, which pisses me off, but he's been awesome. So that's another thing to watch out for. So the Bears are moving offensively. What can I say? So I expect them to win this game, the Bears. I might be crazy, and the spread is Minnesota -3, so I'm getting some points as well, which I like. But I'll go with the Bears. I've been rolling with them for the past, 3-4 games here, so I'll go with them once again to hopefully win that game and maybe cover the spread. So we'll see. I'm going Chicago. You're going Minnesota. Next game is the Seattle Seahawks. They're at the Washington Football Teams. Seattle's a -5. I'm taking Washington, and you're taking Washington as well.
Yeah, I think I've slept on Washington a little bit too much. They are really competitive in some games that you might not think they should be. And I think this is another example of it. I think the Seahawks are very prone to allowing teams that are not as good as them into the game in a way, because their defense has just struggled so much. All these teams look really competent against them. And I think that's what happened to you last week with the New York Giants. The New York Giants got that big win against the Seattle Seahawks. Oh, let me go pick them again against the Arizona Cardinals. I think that's kind of what happened there. The Seahawks can almost make a team look better than they really are, and that really helps us here, especially with a 5-point spread where Washington's covered some pretty, good spreads and beat some pretty good teams this year and are making a real case for themselves in the NFC East. Now, that is not the best case to make for yourself. I know the NFC East is bad, but the Seahawks allow teams that are worse than them to play up to them, and that's a problem, especially if you're a bettor or on a show, anything like this, because it's hard to decipher when the Seahawks will dominate and when the Seahawks will allow their opponent to play up to them. I think this is a team in Washington that plays up to their opponents, so I believe in Ron Rivera and the Washington football team.
Yeah, I agree. I like the fact that Seattle's coming all the way, out west, all the way to the east to play at Washington, which definitely helps as well.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? Now you distracted me with this voice crack crap. What was I going to say? But I think Antonio Gibson might be out at running back. And if Alex Smith is out at quarterback and they have to go to Dwayne Haskins, I will say stay far away from Washington because Haskins stinks. So don't go near them if that's the case. But with Alex Smith, he's the original Teddy Bridgewater. Doesn't lose you games. He had some weird turnovers in the past, but he's looked good recently. Has the calf injury. Seattle does not give up many rushing yards, but you can beat them through the air. So a guy like McLaurin, Logan Thomas, Cam Sims, you can probably beat them in the air with those guys, and hopefully it puts up enough points for you. And of course, Washington's defense is amazing. Their front seven's amazing. And Seattle never had a great offensive line. I like their left tackle, Dwayne Brown, of course, but their other guys on the offensive line's not that great. So if you can get Chase Young and Kerrigan and Payne and Allen, all those guys in there to create pressure on Russell Wilson, there will probably be enough to kind of just get him off balance, and maybe your offense does enough to keep this game close. I don't know if Washington wins this game, but what is it, 5.5 points? I think I said it was. So it's a good amount, or 5. So it's a good amount. I think I'll just take Washington and hope that they find a way to cover. Don't expect them to win, but I think it'll be a closer game than people expect. So I will go with Washington as well. Next, we're at the the San Francisco 49ers are at the Dallas Cowboys. San Francisco is a -2.5 on the road. We're both going to go with San Francisco here.
Yeah, the Dallas Cowboys really don't have anything going for them. And I shared with you how they could potentially make the playoffs. They need a lot to happen. And honestly, I think Jerry Jones, he's just trying to rebuild for the future at this point. And I know Mike McCarthy, it's a new year for him. Obviously, he's just got hired as the Dallas Cowboys head coach this season. So he might try and prove something here that he's, the better version. He was the better half of the Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy relationship, but we all know that's not true, especially now that Aaron Rodgers has been balling out ever since Mike McCarthy left. So maybe the Dallas has that going for them, Mike McCarthy trying to prove something here. But San Francisco is built to beat a team like Dallas because they can scheme really, really well. And I've said this over and over again. Sometimes I've been wrong with San Francisco because I'm a little too confident in their ability to coach their players, but they've looked competent, and this Dallas team has just flat out not. And they really are inconsistent week to week, which is why going against them could worry you because sometimes they can ball out on offense. But their defense is bad, and Kyle Shanahan is good at game planning against bad defenses. So I feel pretty confident, really don't have that much to say. So I'm just going to go with the 49ers here.
Yeah. Look, the only thing I could say, and I could just drop the mic after that, is that it's Mike McCarthy against Shanahan. So I could just say that, of course, and it's only 2.5 points. But I guess I'll go into it a bit more. I think the Niners right now, We think their defense stinks because Nick Bosa's out, and who's the other guy they lost? Was it Solomon Thomas? I think
Yeah.
maybe. I'm not even sure. Yeah. So they lost 2 guys on their defensive line that are great players, but mostly everyone else is back. And I'm looking right now, the Niners have given up the 5th fewest total yards on defense, a lower number than other playoff teams like the Colts, the Buccaneers, Ravens, Packers. So, like, their defense is not something to sleep on. And, like, I don't really trust Andy Dalton too much. I know he did well against his former team. Good for him. But, as we know, Zeke has looked like a former, like a shell of himself at this point. The Cowboys' offensive line stinks, and I just think they'll get enough pressure, the Niners, to kind of keep Andy Dalton off balance here and probably sack him maybe 3, 4, 5 times. So that's enough for me. And their offense, they might get Garoppolo back. I saw George Kittle was like not activated. Maybe he was activated from the IR or just designated to return. So there's that slight chance they get Kittle back. And I don't know if they can make the playoffs. Probably not, but I guess there's a chance, if they win out, maybe they get the last wild card spot. So maybe they're out here trying to win this game, very hard. The Cowboys have nothing to play for. You gave out your stupid scenario about the Cowboys maybe making the playoffs. I say there's no chance it happens.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are going to lose this week. The playoff hopes will be over. The Niners win this game by let's say 6-7 to 10 points. I'll put it somewhere in there.
Give me
Maybe
a score
they blow them
prediction.
out.
I want a score prediction
For this game?
Yeah.
All right. Cowboys scored 13, and the Niners scored 21. 21-13 Niners.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
I could see it.
But yeah, as you said, I know Deebo Samuel's probably out this game. Brandon Ayuk's very tough to guard. He's been awesome. So even if it's Nick Mullins, I don't care. Dallas's defense is a joke. So I'll just go with the Niners to basically win by 3 points or more. It's not a lot at all. Next, we're on to a team that has to win by a lot of points. It's the Jets at the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are a minus 17.5. Now, when you sent me the guys, teams you wanted, you picked the Rams. And then I told you before the show started, I think I'm picking the Jets. And you're like, oh, I kind of want to pick the Jets. I just didn't want you to laugh at me. So I'm like, so now we're both going to take the Jets. We just feel like 17.5 is a crazy number, but tell us why you're taking the Jets here.
Yeah, when I make my picks, I text Mike. So, I make my list of teams that I want to pick for the week. This is a matchup that I probably erased, deleted the 3 letters, the LAR, the NYJ, at least probably 5 times and switched it to the other person. So the final decision was really, I don't want Mike to laugh at me. So when he said he was picking the Jets, I felt more comfortable. So I switched it last second. I think that's the first time I've done this. So, it cut me some slack. And, of course, it's with the Jets because, I like to pick the Jets and I like to be wrong with the Jets because, honestly, I have been very high on the Jets over the last few years. I've had some expectations for them. I think eventually they're just gonna figure it out, and I hope that sometime soon because I don't hate the Jets. I would like the Jets to have some success, and especially if they have Trevor Lawrence, I would love for them to have success because I think Trevor Lawrence is a tremendous player, and I don't want to see him go down the Jet pit. In this game specifically, 17.5 points is a lot. And Sean McVay has been known to play in close games, with his opponents when they are, significantly worse because he doesn't really need to go all out. He doesn't really need to game plan, everything. I know he's had these comments before where he goes up against a crappy team and he says they're very hard to game plan. It's a very sarcastic comment. He's just trying to be nice. We all understand it. The Jets are not a very hard team to game plan against. Put me on the field, I could probably win. I just think that LA, honestly, they are a team that does that. So I could see them potentially playing down to their opponent. And look, Mike, if they're losing by 24 and the Jets just go and score a touchdown late game, they cover. The 17.5 points is a lot of points. We're talking, this is a college spread right here. This is a college football spread. So I hope the Jets prove me right for once. Of course, they probably will the one time you go with them because obviously you claim you're the better spread picker with the Jets. So, yeah, I'll go with the Jets.
Well, all you have to do is not pick the Jets, and you're probably the better Jets spread picker. I feel like their record is 4-12 this year.
I want to try and outsmart you sometimes.
Actually, no, 4-12 would be wrong because that's 16 weeks. 4-9 or 3-10. I don't know, but it's not good. So the main reason I'm picking the Jets here is because sometimes teams have these look ahead spots, quote unquote, and the Rams might be a victim of that because the next 2 weeks for the Rams are divisional matchups, and we know that that's a very tight division. They play the Seahawks at home next week. The Seahawks are home next week. Then the week after that, the Rams are home for the Cardinals. So they have a really good or bad, I guess, for them look-ahead spot. 2 divisional matchups in a very tight division. So they might take the Jets lightly here and say, screw it, we're going to beat them anyway. We can put out our C squad, our practice squad, and still win this game. And you mentioned 24 or 21 and a half, whatever it is a lot of points. No, 17 and a half, whatever it was. 17 and a half is a ton of points. And, I trust the Rams to put up a lot of points here, and Denzel Mims is out, the Jets' rookie wide receiver, but it's a lot. You really can't expect a team to win by that many against another NFL team. I know it's the Jets, and they're terrible, but the Jets still want their first win. There's only 3 games remaining to do it. They still want their first win. They're still going to play hard. I know last week was not a good showing against Seattle, but the Rams are a team that sometimes comes out flat, and hopefully this is a spot where it could happen. They'll still win this game, whether it's, it could be a 40-7 win, or it could be a 23-14 type win, and the Jets cover that game. So I'm hoping it's that latter part of it where the Jets are a competitive football team. They don't have to be that competitive with that spread. But you mentioned before, you don't like to hate on the Jets. Neither do I. I'm personally jealous of the Jets, and this might be dumb to say as on a Giants channel. I'm jealous of the Jets because they're getting Trevor Lawrence. That's your quarterback for 15 years as long as they don't ruin him, which is possible. Think about the insane amount of draft picks the Jets have as well. They have Seattle's first-round picks. They have a bunch of other second- and third-round picks. As long as Joe Douglas, a GM's the real deal, that team's going to be set up for the future. I think the Jets in 2022, 2023, they might be a legit, I'm not going to say Super Bowl contender, but legit playoff team. So they're trending in the right direction as long as they hit on those draft picks. Plus they have a ton of cap space this offseason as well. So the Jets have a bright future. They just have to execute it correctly, and they might get a new head coach. Well, they should get a new head coach. You never know, but they got that going for them. So it's been a long year as a Jets fan, but I think the future for them is actually very bright. I will say it's tough for me to say because we play in the same stadium as them, but I think their future is very bright there for the Jets.
If they somehow ruin Trevor Lawrence, I think they need to rebrand. I think they need to refranchise.
You need to sell the team.
Just clear it. Yeah.
The Johnsons need to sell the team if they ruin Trevor Lawrence, because what else 100%. Is going to happen at that point? Onto a team with possibly a bright future, probably not. The Philadelphia Eagles. They're at the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are a -6, which I thought is a lot, and I guess so do you, because we're both going to take the Eagles here to cover.
Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles because, you know what, I'm a little hyped up after they got that win against the Saints, and honestly, I really like what I saw from Jalen Hurts, not so much in the passing game, more in the rushing game. And in a way, I think he's more built for this offense at this point in time because their offensive line has been struggling. That 0 sack thing might be deceiving because Jalen Hurts definitely got pressured in that game, but his ability – his pocket running and agility in a way is really good. He's kind of like the other quarterback on the other side of the field for this game, Kyler Murray. Not as fast, but you see all the time Kyler Murray have a defender in his face and just be able to outrun him to the outside. You saw that a lot with Jalen Hurts. He's really, really good at that. And if it's one thing that the Cardinals can really do this year defensively is they don't really get that much pressure. They don't. And they leave quarterbacks in there to run around the pocket a lot. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, they leave quarterbacks when you don't have a guy like Daniel Jones who runs outside the pocket but then stands still for some reason and fumbles the ball. You have a guy like Jalen Hurts that can outrun these guys. It creates a lot of possibility for the Eagles offensively. Obviously, Kyler Murray is very good, but this defense has been playing well. They played well last week against a guy like Taysom Hill that's very agile. Now, obviously, Taysom Hill is no Kyler Murray in that category at all. I get it. But Kyler Murray, other than his game against the Giants, which, again, he really didn't look that impressive, he's been throwing the ball okay since his little shoulder injury or whatever injury he was dealing with. Not too – it was a shoulder, correct?
Yeah. AC joint, whatever the hell that is. We'll act like we're doctors, exactly. Right there. Yeah.
In the shoulder, somewhere in the shoulder. He hasn't looked the same. So this Philadelphia Eagles has that. This team has that chip on their shoulder. I honestly hope they don't win this game. I don't think they will, but I do think they will cover this spread.
I feel pretty good about the Eagles in this spot. I just saw this stat that scares the crap out of me. The Eagles have yielded the most rushing yards to signal callers, I guess quarterbacks this year. So against a rushing quarterback, that's definitely something not to be happy about. But right now the Eagles are allowing 3.6 yards per carry to running backs. If you're going to ask for, an injured, I still think he's kind of injured. He looked better Sunday, but still kind of injured. I almost said Lamar Murray. Wow, Kyler Murray to put those guys together. That's a good quarterback. But Kyler Murray to carry an offense. And, win by a touchdown or more, basically. It's a lot to ask for. And I think Darius Slay is still like healthy, right? Like he's good. I saw him walking off the field like maybe a week ago, a couple weeks
I
ago.
don't know, man.
That's iffy.
Darius Slay
Yeah.
hasn't been the same.
I know. And that's what happens when you trade for corners that are 28, 29 years old. It happens. Like the cornerback shelf life in football is not too long. So like when you trade for them towards the tail end of their prime, that's going to happen. That's why I think the Pats, we're off topic now, but that's why I think the Pats would be smart, or would have been smart, to trade Stephon Gilmore. He's like 29 years old right now. How many great years of Gilmore are you going to have? And the Patriots are not a Super Bowl contender this year.
And it's not a guy you build around.
Yeah, exactly. So they might as well try and trade him for what they can get in the offseason. But anyway, back to this game, the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Eagles offense looked better without Carson Wentz. I'm sorry to say that to you, but that's we'll talk about that in the offseason. We'll probably do like an offseason podcast special type thing. But I think right now they look better with Jalen Hurts. He proved he can run the ball as well. Wasn't making mistakes. I think he fumbled the ball at one point, but really outside of that, it was like Jalen Hurts was doing what he can to win games, and like Miles Sanders looked really good. So can they bring that run game back once again? So they are facing a team in the Cardinals that I think are not great against the run. Like you can definitely run on them, so that definitely benefits the Eagles. And as long as you guys can shut down DeAndre Hopkins, not shut him down, but just not let him kill you for 2 or 3 touchdowns, I feel like you can cover this game. Like I feel like the Eagles are alive to win this game because even though the Cardinals beat the crap out of the Giants, it was an injured Daniel Jones, bad spot game for the Giants, winning 4 in a row and then, being upset. I just think it's a good spot for the Eagles. They're the hot team right now. The Cardinals finally got their first win in a long time, but the Cardinals aren't that great of a team. Like, let's be honest. So I think the Eagles, their front seven's good enough here. They'll stop the run pretty well. You're forcing an AC joint injury quarterback to beat you. Maybe Kyler beats them with his legs, but at the same time, the Eagles' offense right now looks good enough with Jalen Hurts to at least move the ball on a not-so-good defense. I will take the Eagles as well here. Next, we're on to this is a good game, possible Super Bowl preview maybe. So Kansas City Chiefs at the New Orleans Saints. We think it's Taysom Hill once again. I saw Drew Brees was activated to return, but he's probably going to be out another week, so I guess we'll find out. But it looks like Taysom Hill. KC's a -3.5 on the road at New Orleans. We're both going to take the Chiefs here.
Yeah, the Chiefs are just a better team than the Saints. You said possible Super Bowl matchup. It's possible. I just don't think the Saints are necessarily a Super Bowl team. They're too, in a way, when a team can run on them in a game, it gets really bad for that defense, especially last week when they finally, allowed an 100-yard rusher to, in fact, they just looked ugly. They just didn't know what they were doing, really couldn't really do anything. But that's another conversation. We're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs playing them right now. Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in the NFL. I think most NFL fans can agree with that, except for the ones that obviously probably watch 2 to 3 games a year. They can win games, and they can win games against great teams. What does scare me a little bit, actually, what doesn't scare me, this doesn't scare me at all. I don't know why you even said that. Patrick Mahomes threw, 3 interceptions last week, and he still looked fantastic, and they still put up a great amount of points against the Miami defense that is really, really good this year against the pass. So they can pass the ball against whomever, whenever, wherever. And they've proven that. They're going to be in the dome. They're going to be away from the cold for once. So I think Kansas City has it going for them. Really not much to say. I think this is the lowest Kansas City has ever been in a spread this year. I wouldn't be surprised. 3.5 is pretty low for the Super Bowl favorites at this point. So I'm going to go with Kansas City.
The only game I could think of that maybe was a smaller spread was that one against the Ravens in like week 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs absolutely killed them in that game. Here's the thing. I like the Saints defense. They're really good. They didn't look good Sunday. That might have just been like a bad hiccup game for them against the quarterback they were not prepared for, didn't have tape on. That definitely happens. But even though the Saints have this great defense, I don't trust the Saints offense to put up enough points to be in the neighborhood of KC when the final score is all said and done. So I think Kansas City, while they might not put up 45 points here, they can put up 27 to 31 points, and I don't really see the Saints scoring over 24. I mean, the Chiefs' defense is beatable. We get it. But Taysom Hill has looked more human recently. I just feel like teams are figuring out that offense more. Like when you see a Taysom Hill-led offense the first few weeks, it's tough to know what you're game planning for because like I'm not going to say we've never seen this before, but like it's tough to prepare for an offense that you've never really seen before. Taysom Hill-led Saints offense for an entire game. But now that teams have enough film on these guys, it's like they're kind of starting to figure it out. And the Chiefs are smart. So I think the Chiefs will do enough on defense. They will do enough on offense to win a game that I don't see being a blowout, but I can see the Chiefs winning this one by 7 to 10 points, and it's only 3.5. So, I think the Chiefs will be fine here. Of course, the Saints could have win it, but the Chiefs are probably going to treat this game like it could be a Super Bowl game, because it definitely very well could be if the Saints get Breeze back, and everyone they probably think if Breeze comes back and plays at a high level, the Saints definitely going to be in the Super Bowl, and people expect the Chiefs to be there as well. So you want to put on a good performance here for KC. I expect them to do that, and they should win this game by at least 4 points. So I'll go with them as well. Next, we're on to the Sunday Night Football matchup. They should have put that game on Sunday night. I don't know why they have us now, but they put the Cleveland Browns at the New York Giants. Cleveland's a -4. I absolutely love Cleveland here. I can go on for a while. I love Cleveland here, but you like Cleveland as well. And actually, no, you like the Giants. What the hell's wrong with you? But you like the Giants. Tell us why you like the Giants. All right, tell us.
So the number one Giant hater is going to pick the Giants this week. That's very odd of me in a way, because I haven't been that confident with the Giants all year. I haven't really been buying into that win streak. I think it showed last week, too, when I went with the Arizona Cardinals, but I got it right. So that is all that matters in this little show. The reason why I'm going with the Giants here is because now, obviously, this isn't something that we've seen, but when I feel like Joe Judge is the type of coach that when they lose a game like that and get absolutely dominated, that he's going to come back and he's going to discipline his team and get them back on track. You might have seen a little bit of a confidence, like an overconfident look from the Giants last week after going on that little win streak there. I think Joe Judge kind of, put them back on track a little bit. I think he's going to this week, and I think they have a really, really competitive game against Cleveland. Now, I don't know what the weather's looking like in New York at the moment. I know the weather right now, at least at my house, it's snow everywhere. I don't think that's going to continue over the weekend, but obviously temperatures are getting low here. It's going to get cold, so you might not see too many points up on the board, although that game 2 nights ago was pretty high scoring, and it was pretty cold there as well. Don't really have too much to go on with the New York Giants, but I trust Joe Judge to discipline his players enough and get them fired up.
All right, here's what I'm going to say. Colt McCoy is probably going to start this game because Daniel Jones has another injury now. I think he tweaked his ankle on Sunday. And I know we won with Colt McCoy last time. He's 1-0 as a Giant starter. That's great. And it's a revenge game for Colt McCoy against his former Browns team that drafted him like a decade ago. But I just think the Browns are such a better team than the Giants right now. I just don't 100%. See how it's only 4 points. And the Browns can stop the run. They've allowed 104 rushing yards per contest so far this year. And the Giants, they do run the ball pretty well. I mean, they didn't run it too well on Sunday, but I guess they did yards per carry wise, but not high volume. The Giants have ran the ball better, but if Cleveland can stop the run consistently, then you're asking Colt McCoy to win this game for you. And it's only 4 points. Cleveland, while the Giants' run defense is good this year, I think Cleveland just runs the ball at you so much. And the Giants' defense will get worn down. That's how it works, with the Giants. We see it all the time. Kenyon Drake in the second half of that Cardinals game last week started picking up some big runs because the Giants' defense gets tired. And when you lose the time possession battle, which the Giants probably will in this game because you can't sustain drives with Colt McCoy, the Browns are probably going to come to the end, towards the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden Nick Chubb is going to run for, this 40-yard run. And then Kareem Hunt comes in and runs for another 20 yards, and someone gets a long touchdown. And that's probably what's going to happen. So I expect Cleveland to pull away late here. The Giants' defense will do all they can. The Giants have no offense whatsoever, and I expect them to win by more than 4. So I'll go with Cleveland there. Seems like a pretty easy one, hopefully, but I think they're my favorite bet probably. I'll go with them. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati, Monday Night Football. So what are we doing here? We're putting the Giants on Sunday night, which I get. They wanted a healthy Daniel Jones. I get that. And Cincinnati on Monday. What are we doing with Cincinnati on Monday? Once Joe Burrow got hurt, they should have flexed that game out a month ago. But I don't know what we're doing here. Pittsburgh's a -12.5. We're both going to go with Pittsburgh.
Yeah. The Bengals stink. They really do. They can't get anything going on offense. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, I can imagine, pretty frustrated right now. 2 straight losses after 11 straight wins. It's got to be frustrating, especially I honestly, if they were undefeated going into that game, was it 3 nights ago now? Wow, it's already Wednesday. Yeah. I still think they would have lost. I think that would have been their first loss of the season. Because I just think Buffalo is a better overall team than them. Now, that doesn't mean that I think the Steelers can't be competitive and possibly beat them in the playoffs. But right now, the Steelers are probably fired up. I don't know if anybody saw that clip. I'm pretty sure you saw that clip of, obviously, Juju Smith-Schuster has his little TikTok dances before the games on opponents' logos. Josh Allen was not having it in that little huddle before the game. He was saying, "Let them do their effing dancing while we do our effing winning," or something like that. They were fired up in that game, and honestly, for good reason, because they really pretty much dominated the Steelers in that game, showed that they were the better team. So the Steelers have to be fired up, and this is a game not where you lack offensively or defensively. This is a game where even though you're going up against a bad team, you got to go out there and you have to show why you're 11-2. If I'm Mike Tomlin, that's what I'm preaching this week. I think he's going to preach a similar thing. Mike Tomlin's an odd person sometimes, so maybe he thinks differently. But I think that's the main and obvious message here. So I think the Steelers will be able to get it done.
We do not care.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mike Tomlin being weird. All right. Yeah, I mean, look, Cincinnati, you mentioned they stink. They're allowing 382 total yards per game, bottom 10 in running passing. The Steelers can't run the ball too well right now. I think what's his name? I almost said Miles Sanders. James Conner has a bit of an injury right now, so they'll kind of rotate him and Benny Snell and McFarland. I don't expect them to run the ball that well, but Ben Roethlisberger can probably throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns against these guys. And I know the Steelers have had a lot of bad drops with Ebron and Deontay Johnson, so that's something to watch out for. But assuming the weather's okay, I don't see a reason why the Steelers can't throw for 400-something yards against these guys. Like, there's no reason why not. I think Ryan Finley's back in at quarterback. Joe Hayden's probably back at cornerback for Pittsburgh, so that's definitely a nice addition for them once again. I just don't see how Cincinnati puts up many points. I mean, their offense is dreadful. They can't even run the ball anymore. Sometimes they pass the ball for a nice splash play with Green or Boyd, but, it's hard for them. They have no offensive line, as we know, and it's just tough for them to sustain offense. So I expect Pittsburgh to pass the ball very well here. If not, then I can see Cincinnati covering this game, but not winning, but covering this game. But I think Ben Roethlisberger has himself a good game here, so I'll go with Pittsburgh as well to win by more than 13 points. So to close it out, we will do the favorite bets. We actually did them before this time, so we have them written down. I'm taking the Niners -2.5, and I'm also going to take the Cleveland Browns -4. Andrew, tell us who you're taking, unless you've forgotten. I'll just say it.
I think I took the Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
There you go. Yep, Chiefs. He got Chiefs -3.5 and Buccaneers -5.5. Before we wrap up, we'll do one stupid segment before we're done here. You gave me your teams the Colts are going to lose to.
No. The Bills.
Oh, Bills. All right. So go ahead. Who can the Bills – was it lose to or beat?
Lose to.
All right. Who can the Bills lose to?
Well, I just think, there's a lot of hype going on around the Bills. They've had some successful weeks. You know this. I know this. We know a Bills fan that doesn't really know that much about football. Probably started watching football around this year. Yeah, exactly. And was told to be a Bills fan. And he keeps talking. You know what? I'm just going to let it go. He probably doesn't watch these videos. And if he does, I don't think he'll make it this far. But if he does, you know who you are. Hello. I'm not trying to start anything, all right? You could do whatever you want. I think the 3 teams that have a legit possibility of beating the Bills in the postseason and eliminating them are the Colts, the Browns, and the Miami Dolphins. Now, I know there's one team in there that you disagree with. I know why, but you should probably tell everybody else why. I'm pretty sure it's the Miami Dolphins. So why? Why?
I don't see the rookie quarterback winning that game. I just don't see it happening. And they're probably going to be in Buffalo too. So it's like you expect Tua to go in Buffalo when it's cold as hell and just be like, go win me this playoff game. I mean, maybe their defense plays out of their mind, but like Josh Allen now in year 3 looking a lot better. I just don't really see how Miami wins that game. Anything's possible. But so you mentioned 3 teams. We're not including the obvious ones like the Chiefs, right? We're not putting them in there.
No, because I don't think they're going to play the Chiefs first round. They could play. They're not going to play the Steelers either. So I think those are 2 teams too, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, this will be fun once we get to the playoffs. We can actually do, predictions for the games and stuff. But that'll do it for week number 15. 2 more weeks to go. I still have a 5-game lead on you. Hopefully it stays that way. I feel pretty good about this week. I mean, some spreads were confusing. Thursday night's confusing. A couple other ones in there are very confusing. I had trouble with the Baltimore one, 13.5. So we'll see. The Jets as well we took, but we'll find out. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll talk to you next week.